Hey everybody, welcome back to another awesome devlog. Everything broke. Everything that I did last week is completely broken now. As you can see, we have the game looks a lot different, and that's part of why everything is broken. But let's get into what I accomplished this week. Obviously, I got into Sprite. I remade a bunch of these assets. We have new things for all of the ores. They're all looking pretty sweet. Let's go ahead. We'll edit with Piscal is what I'm looking for. So like we've got like the stone, we've got the coal that looks, they're all based off of the same image, but I think it just kind of ties everything together. These are all 8x8 pixels, which is pretty cool because I've redone everything to a 16x16 design. You can tell by the idle and the walking animation that we have going in here. So we've got like a 16x22, I think this is, 16x21. And let's take a look at that cute little animation. We're familiar with that one. This is kind of the base character that I had, and then we have our nice little walking animation. And I was hoping to implement that this week, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, and this is I have not been able to figure this out. When I changed my artwork, even though I went back through into my code and I changed my points and my collisions, and I made sure that all of those were what they were supposed to be, everything's broken. Nothing works anymore for what I had going for me. So that's a little, disappointing. So let's take a look and see what he does now, and then I'll walk you through what's going on. Hell yeah, dude! Look at that. He does all he does now is he goes and he walks over this chest, and then every now and then he kind of looks a different way. Now, if I put this in the, if I re-enable the UI properties. Ooh, look at that. It's scary. You can see that he immediately starts to go dump his inventory. And also I kind of messed that up, but I'm not worried about that right now. He immediately goes to dump his inventory, and no matter how much I click on this furnace, like I was able to do last week, he will not change from dumping his inventory. Even though in the code, it very explicitly says, at least in my opinion, very explicitly says that he's only supposed to be doing this when his inventory is equal to his max carry. Now, I can't for the life of me figure out why he's doing that. I've asked people in the GDevelop Discord. I've asked some people in Fireside. Haven't gotten a lot of response there. The one thing that I've gotten is that another person who uses GDevelop quite regularly said that sometimes when they change out their sprites and their animations and stuff, everything just kind of breaks for no good reason. And that's very comforting to me to know that I'm not the only person that this is happening to. Now, what do we do when things break and we're not sure how to fix them? Now, I could sit here for another like 2 or 3 days and just try to rework everything like I've been doing, but honestly, I think that this is a very cool place for us to kind of rework our ideas a little bit. I think that in the spirit of pursuing the knowledge of game development, what should we do when we're kind of at a breaking point? You know, we can either cut down and rebuild, or we can just start fresh. And I think what I want to do, since I've learned so much from this project, is I think I just kind of want to start fresh with the same idea, but maybe take it in a little bit of a different direction. Now, that might look like me potentially doing a live stream of me rebuilding everything. I think I might also want to go from kind of a platforming perspective to maybe a bit more of a top-down perspective to kind of give us a little bit more room to play with. Like maybe we can solve some of the issues that we were thinking of with unlocking different mines that are specific to each kind of inventory I want to start pursuing, and then that gives the dudes more space to kind of roam around, and we're not really having to worry about them overlapping each other or anything like that. So I think maybe I kind of rework this from a different angle. I don't know if that's going to be the best idea, but I mean, it's not like I'm trying to make this like a full-on release or anything. This is just a very interesting idea that I have for pursuing a bit more knowledge on how this stuff works. That being said, let's get into some of the stuff that you guys messaged me about, not on the video, but I had some personal messages on Discord and some other ideas that I think would be kind of fun to talk about. Now, that being said, if you do have ideas for me, I would like to encourage you to leave them on the video itself, just so that I can remember where I was talking to people about that, and I can kind of keep all of these ideas and maybe some conversation in the actual comments of the video. It would be a lot easier for me to remember where everything is. All right. So what I wanted to work on this week, provided that everything was working with, let me get rid of that again, provided that everything was working with this and before everything broke, was I wanted to work on dragging the player around to different zones and allowing that to also change our states that we have. I thought that would have been really cool. I didn't get to work on that at all, but it's still an idea that I have that I think would be really cool. The furnace, I mean, it worked 100% for all of about 10 to 15 minutes, and I was like, sweet, it works completely. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch out these animations and these sprites, and then as soon as I came back, it was all broken, and so I wasn't able to fix it. I worked on it for about 2 days, and I didn't get anywhere with it. Now, one of my good buddies messaged me, and he's pretty good at code. I'm not good at code, but he was like, I don't know how GDevelop works, but what if instead of the way that you have the states working for your dudes right now, you kind of gave this idle state more of a thinking state type deal, where at the end of all of these things, I can set my dude to 0, and he actually is able to think about what he wants to do next if I were to give this state a certain thinking hierarchy, where he can be like, well, if my health is below this, then maybe I'll choose to go do that, or I will choose to go mine, instead of me just kind of setting these to things that I think logically would be a good thing to do. Like at the end of mining, you know, I have so many of these, like, hey, we'll set him to 2 if he needs to offload some inventory, or we'll set him to rest if this. But what if that got handled by one state that kind of has, you know, a bit more of a hierarchy to what would be important, and I can kind of have a little bit more influence, or I guess maybe a little bit less influence over the dudes, which is kind of the vibe that I'm wanting. I want these guys to kind of be a little dumb, but still like be able to like take direction as I kind of give it to them. So I thought that would be a really good idea. I don't think it would be hard to even implement either. So I'm very excited at the idea of that. So thank you so much for giving me that idea. I wish I could have worked on it this week, but I couldn't. That also being said, I did rework the furnace as well, and I gave the furnace its own states, very similar to how the dude operates. I fixed the furnace, and it worked completely. It was great. I mean, ignore this comment that says broken, fix again. After it was working, it broke, and then I was like, uh-oh, and so I was trying to fix all that. But what we ended up doing was I gave all of the furnaces a new variables. Let's just go ahead and look at furnace, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. So these are the states. We have done set as 3, idle set as 0, in use set as 2, and ready set as 1. And basically, when the inventory of the chest and the guy equal the amount that can be used, it will go to the ready state, which means I can only click on the furnace when it's ready. Because if I'm clicking on it when it's idle, I'm going to get that thing that we had last week where he walks over to the chest and he goes, we don't got enough, can't make anything, and he, you know, goes back to mining. But now I can control what he does by if it is already done, because the furnace is automatically updating its own states based off of certain parameters that I've set. Now that worked flawlessly. That was a very good system until GDevelop decided that it didn't want to do what I told it to do anymore. So this ended up being very, very good. Now I'm not totally sure what about the furnace or maybe my guy's states is messing up. I've looked at things, I've sent people images and whatnot, and it just we can't figure it out. This ended up working completely. I've redone it a little bit, so I'm not sure if it would work anymore with what I've got going on. But I think honestly, it's best just to kind of scrap the whole thing and start again, like I was saying earlier. So we can kind of ignore this from last week. My blocks worked great after I updated it last week. I also was able to do the little alerts over the guy's head. I'm very sorry that I can't show you, but that works completely well. So as you'll remember, last week we did not have these little child commands, and I just added little children commands or statements, events to all of these, and basically, hey, whenever he breaks a stone, boop, put a little stone on his head. Break a little bit of coal, boop, put a little bit of coal over his head. And that kind of made it to where I didn't have to monitor the player's inventory as much as I was having to do, which is why I've had the UI kind of, or the pop-ups, hidden. I haven't really needed them. So let's get into questions for YouTube. I've been thinking about some of this, and before everything broke, I was asking, should I consider making some of the functions of the game external events? And what would the benefit of doing that be other than just organization? Would that improve the workflow of the events, or is it just kind of a dumb idea? I've been working on a small other project that I'm not going to finish, so I haven't been thinking about making any videos on it. But I was working on a little bit of an endless runner idea, and I got kind of inspired by how you have external layouts entering into the same scene, and it kind of adds a little bit of randomness and a little bit of order to what would be a very weird and chaotic project to make otherwise. And I was thinking, what if instead of kind of how I have it here, where I've got like the dude stuff, all of this, all of that is its own external event, and then the player controls is handled by something different. And then, I kind of keep all of that stuff in a completely separate event. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. I'm still, again, very, very new to this software. But just for like pure organization's sake, I think that it would be, it obviously all still runs from top to bottom, but would it have any impact? I don't know. I think that would be a nice thing to kind of figure out. And then after everything broke, I wrote, why is everything breaking when I attempt to add animations or change my artwork? It's not like I messed with any of the events or any of the actions. I don't understand how just replacing some of the assets completely breaks what I've set up. It's not like I'm telling the code to do anything differently. Now, we've already kind of talked about that a little bit, but I mean, if anybody has any idea, because the last thing that I would want to do is to really commit to a project like this and then be like, oh, I really want to make it look a little bit nicer, and then be super, super worried about how it's going to affect literally every single part of what I've built so far. It just seems really silly. And again, I am very new, so there's a huge possibility that I'm just doing something wrong. So I really don't know. I think that this week was very, very important for me for learning things like Sprite. I probably should have went ahead and booted up Sprite so I could kind of show you guys some of the artwork that I did in there. But I mean, you can see it right here. I mean, even if we go to the furnace, like I have this cute little animation. Look at this. Look at that. It's so basic, but it's so cute. And then the little ready animation, we can preview that, and it's like, hey, I'm ready. Click on me. Like, I don't know. I just think it looks neat. I'm very proud of what I was able to get done in Sprite this week. I just wish that it didn't break all of the cool other stuff that I did, but I don't know. It's I think it's just part of the learning process, unfortunately, which, I mean, totally fine. Not everything is going to work out completely for you, but I don't know. It's just a little frustrating, but I think that it's going to be very, very good for new beginnings and very, very good for me continuing to learn about this fun new hobby that I've picked up. As frustrating as it is, I'm still enjoying it very, very much. Now, let me know if you would be interested in me doing a bit of a live stream, kind of rebuilding in a new project on this stuff. Otherwise, I think I'm probably just going to keep up with the devlogs. They've been very fun. And by the way, the reception on them has been very, very good. I used to make a bunch of other videos that I would put not way more effort into, but, editing wise, they're a little bit crazier. On this channel, I uploaded a Final Fantasy story analysis video that, got better numbers than it did on my old channel, but, not by much. So these have been very, very fun to work on and very, very rewarding as far as viewer engagement and just general enthusiasm surrounding something that I'm doing. It's very nice. I'm very much enjoying myself. But that's all I have this week. I know it's a bit of a shorter one. Oh, good God, I've been talking for 15 minutes. So never mind. It's not a bit of a shorter one, but I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye for now.